What's up, guys, and welcome back to Boat Restoration by Ben. On today's episode, we are tearing into the Wellcraft, getting ready to prep the beds for the fuel tanks to go in, as well as prepare the two engine bays for the Caterpillar 3116s to be installed. We got the fuel tanks staged and ready. We got the console modules out. Those things weighed a ton. I got my plastic beds. I got brand new isolation rubber for each tank to sit on. And we are tearing into the 1996 Wellcraft 33 Coastal. Here we go. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Boat Restoration by Ben. On today's episode, we are finally going to tear into 1996 Wellcraft 33 Coastal. Now that it's in the shop, I am finishing up putting together my 15-foot wide gantry so I can be able to lift things in and out of the Wellcraft, including the twin 3116 Caterpillar diesels that will go back into this boat, as well as the two 150-gallon fuel tanks that are sitting in the back. But first things first, let's hop up on the boat. We need to survey this hardtop situation up there, because I'm pretty certain that hardtop's gonna have to come off, slide forward, and the aluminum support is also going to have to be unbolted and slide forward. So thank you guys for watching, and here we go. 1996 Wellcraft 33 Coastal is finally being taken apart so we can put it back together. So ignoring all of this crazy mess back here, this has not been without a heck of a battle. As you guys saw in the move-in video, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it, where we moved this boat into the shop for the first time. That was quite the feat. I mean, it didn't even fit to the door. I now have to widen my door 3 extra feet. We're going from 12 feet to 15 feet on that left door, just so that this boat can come out in the future without any issues. But anyway, let me grab my ladder here. This place is already filled to the brim with stuff, which is kind of a problem. We've got the Bronco back here. We've got the I-beam that came with the kit for the gantry that I'm not using. A bunch of Pursuit parts, a bunch of Duramax parts, my makeshift intermediate workbenches, the Shamrock that I've been working on. Here's that big old I-beam with the tractor sitting out front, and, you know, freaking trailer, truck, another tractor. Man, it's just already need a bigger shop. But I knew that all along, so hang on, let me hop up into this bed, girl. Oh, without falling. Wipe my feet off. Okay, so I have not hopped up here since we moved the boat in, which is fine. Things have had a chance to settle out, dry out. But first things first, I haven't been downstairs in a hot minute, so let's go check that out. At the very least, it is dry. And no, I don't have shop lights yet, but we'll get some in the near future, and probably get some batteries in here at some point. But again, other than it being dusty and some occasional bugs, it's actually super clean down here. And that's one of the things that encourages me about Wellcraft. We know how we feel about alcohol stoves. We don't use those. But, you know, like, it'll clean up nicely. I mean, it needs new portholes. Those old plastic ones are gross. But it's, you know, it's actually decent down here. Is that a mouse? Nope. Just part of the boat. That's good. Get rid of all these retro, weird curtains, but whatever. It's simple. I mean, even the bathroom, it's not like it's moldy or mildewy or gross. It just needs to be cleaned. So, let's see here. And looking at the hardtop further, there's a couple things that we got to pay attention to. One is this radar. Two is the weight. So I think this hardtop actually weighs a decent bit, but I'd like to, it just looks like those are screwed in. They're not through bolted, which is kind of surprising. So I'd like to remove all these screws, then be able to pick this whole thing straight up and walk it forward with a few buddies. I think that's the game plan, honestly. Okay, now I just have to do that one more time. These things weigh a ton. I mean, at least 400 pounds. I mean, this boat is just, it is a lot of glass. Really a beefy boat. I cannot believe it. Ugh, that took like an hour. Now I gotta do that one. Barely any clearance. All right, so now that the heavy lifting, well, I say heavy lifting, now that those things are out of the way, which went better than I thought. It's a little slow with the chain hoist. However, it's as safe as it can be. So anyway, next is the fuel tank. So after, I vacuumed everything, I wanted to open up all this back space back here so we have room to crawl in behind the engines as well as in front and get to the fuel tanks easy through these hatches. Believe it or not, we can fit through those just fine. But I've got these plastic beds that the fuel tanks sit on. I believe a waste holding tank and a freshwater tank sit on it as well. But I mean, you'll see this piece here is about 8 feet long. My fuel tanks are probably 8 or 9 feet long, about 148 gallons. Exactly. But so these beds, oh, let's just get down here real quick on my beefy stringers. And I think I've said it before, but it's actually fairly clean down here. I mean, there's some dust and dirt from sitting. I vacuumed up all the leaves and stuff that was sitting in here. But I mean, it's a pretty clean and spacious engine bay. And don't mind the rat's nest of hoses behind me. That is probably going to be our biggest uphill battle with this whole project, is figuring out what hoses we need, which ones to replace, and then as we get some of the big components in, realizing, oh shoot, I should have put that hose in before I put this big obstacle in the way. And now I have to crawl around and be a contortionist to do this. But anyway, we're gonna deal with that kind of stuff. We can't worry about it because there's no manual for this. It is just due. So anyway, I have the port side bed in for the fuel tank. I believe this is the correct orientation, but I'm gonna have to double check. So I've got this front piece on, these two bolt together, and then we've got the portion that goes to the back. I need to check, however, where the old screw holes are, if they line up to the existing bed, and then I've got the other one up there that'll go on that side as well. And you can kind of see the fuel tanks are shaped the same way as this part that steps down and then goes aft. They're identical fuel tanks, so it doesn't matter which side we put in, one or the other, but it will be interesting having to angle those in down and into the boat. So I'm gonna have to have a way to lift and adjust the fuel tank as it slides in here, because we've got a 5-foot opening and a 9-foot long fuel tank. So anyway, I'm gonna get the first fuel tank, well no, actually I'm gonna get the two beds set. I'm gonna lay a bunch of rubber strips like 6 to 12 inches apart. I'll show you guys that because we want the tank isolated. The reason, and I think I've said it before, but the reason why we're in this position in the first place is because the boat had a fuel tank leak. So it's got brand new fuel tanks, but that's why all this stuff came out. There's no way to remove those fuel tanks unless you pull the engines and get back in there, as well as pull a bunch of other components. You know, I hate saying this, but I think the guy who tore this boat apart was a bit of a part-time worker who didn't have any other job, and you can kind of tell it was quite sporadic in how everything was torn apart and removed, and no wonder he abandoned the project after a few years. So anyway, enough of me talking. Let's get the bed set, let's get our isolators laid down, and then see about putting these fuel tanks in. Look, whoa. I got the two beds in. They actually fit pretty good. They're a little warped, but I think with a little weight and some screws, they'll be just fine. But I like that. And in this case, we are not gonna put anything as far as wiring, whatever, underneath these beds. Everything's gonna go above. So fuel tanks, these hoses, everything's gonna have to go up and over the fuel tanks, around, vents, wiring. This side's actually pretty barren. It's the starboard side that's got all these hoses and wiring. Most of them are freshwater, hot water heater hoses, fish box hoses, so a bunch of PEX tubing, which will be replaced because most of it's cracked up and brittle like that. We got steering cables, we got shifter cables. Uh-oh, it's getting dark. Let me grab my lights. Man, I love my 15-foot gantry. I mean, you guys ever heard of the Game Changer? That is a game changer. And this is what I'm doing for temporary lights. So, muchas gracias. For the comments, lights are coming soon. Don't worry, we're balling on a budget. So bear with me, guys. But anyway, what was I saying? Was I talking about this old diesel fuel filter? No. Why is it in the boat? I don't know. Probably guy gave up. How's our filter look? Oh man, there's still some diesel in it. Ooh. Nice. That's reusable for sure. I was giving this guy a hard time, but that Raycor's mint. I mean, the fuel bowl needs to be cleaned up a little bit, and probably a new filter, but that's okay. We're gonna leave you right there, buddy. We'll get your friend back here shortly too. Don't worry. And look at all this valvage. Yeah, everything's closed right now. Oh yeah. They're still, oh, they're pretty butter. I like that. Go ahead and actuate all of them. Might as well. Probably haven't been actuated in 15 years. Ooh, nice. That means the next time I do it, it'll be easy. Okay, what actually were we talking about? This thing that's, you know, mentally, whew, I've got my knee pads on. That's necessary. Mentally, I'm telling myself this is just one big jigsaw puzzle. And I'm the guy who has to figure out how to put it all back together. So when it comes to these fuel tank beds, that's exactly what happened. I found the pieces. I had to swap a couple from one side to the other. And eventually I found the spot and the OG holes that this whole thing screwed into. So that's how this sits. It mounts directly, or screws directly into the stringers and the grid system that it sits on top of. And then on top of that will go our fuel tanks. But first, I'm gonna grab my rubber isolators. They're like this thick. It's like square or rectangular rubber material, big long strips I'm gonna have to cut to length. And I'm gonna lay a ton all the way down each side to isolate that fuel tank, because the fuel issue is thought to have come from vibration and rub / wear on the bottom of the fuel tank, probably on a screw head or something like that. So we are going to use overkill rubber isolators between that tank and this plastic bed. So you know, I don't really have any hardware for this boat other than what's in it currently, and this random cup holder full of bolts and screws, because that's where you put those things. So anyway, I'm gonna have to buy probably some new stainless steel Phillips head screws to screw these beds back down. So honestly, I think with a little bit of caulk, some UV 4000 or 4200 is fine, because it's not gonna be in the sun, and a bunch of screws, and I'm gonna have to mount down these beds first, get them sturdy, and then we'll lay in all that rubber. So I'm gonna go find some hardware, take care of that, and then cut to laying rubber. You know, meanwhile, and in amongst this project and the Stinger 312, I've been laying tools everywhere randomly, which I don't like doing. I like all my tools to be put back in the spot where they're supposed to go, but I haven't been doing that. So my toolbox is looking a little scary right now. But anyway, I at least know they're within 10 feet of one project or the other. I just found these snippers, which I've been looking for like 2 weeks. They were sitting up behind that radar. So that's cool. Put your tools back after you use them, or else you'll never find them again until you do. This is the stuff I'm using, guys. I mean, UV resistant adhesive sealant. I don't necessarily need this inside, but this is what I have. So I'm gonna use up this tube, and then there's the 3M name brand stuff. Fast Cure UV 4000. White, very similar, 100% waterproof for above waterline applications. If you're gonna go below waterline, use the 5200 or 5000 equivalent sealant. But anyway, this is what we'll use. I've got some miscellaneous hardware, stainless steel, right there. I'm gonna see what length it likes, and then I'll order a big old kit. But we're just gonna rip through this stuff. No need to put it on time lapse. Get these beds solid, solidified back into their original holes and all caulked up. Well, I've got to wait a couple days for that stainless steel hardware to come in, but I got it ordered. I'd ordered like 2-inch number 6 stainless steel Phillips screw heads, and then number 8 1.5 stainless steel screw heads, so that seems to be the right length. But I got these two at least secured down in place for the time being. I need to test fitment now on these new tanks. So I got the gantry set up with my lights and then my tanks down here. And I think we've gone through them before in the video where I pulled everything out of the trailer and brought it to the shop and kind of inventoried things. But these are brand new. I guess SP is the builder. They're aluminum, 148 gallon. Yeah, see, look, they were made in 2013. Tells you how long ago, you know, this whole idea and project has been going on. You know, I'm due to go pick up the engines in the near future, and I mean, those have probably been rebuilt for years now, guys, just sitting in a diesel engine shop, including the transmissions already bolted up to them. I've got a picture of it I'll flash up. That's them literally sitting in the shop right now. So anyway, we've got our new senders already screwed in place, just a couple wires. Our, I think, fill and return, yeah, we may use these. We don't have a generator on this boat. This is the vent line. This is the fill line. So anyway, two, you guys can see, identical 148 gallon diesel fuel tanks. They've got welded on tabs on either end. I'm gonna run a straight line, real tight between there and here. Probably not super tight, actually. I don't have to go as tight on these because they're not as tall as those guys there. But I'll run a line. We're gonna lift one up, and then once the gantry gets over the boat, I'll have to swing the tank long ways, and then they're not super heavy, but I want to be safe, so I want to be able to manipulate the tank itself without the strap sliding on me. So I'm gonna secure it so when I do push one end down, the whole tank just doesn't slide on the hook. So anyway, I'll get that set up here real quick. We'll get one up in the air, we'll get it into the boat, and we'll just see what kind of space we have. Also, let me know how this intermediate lighting is, because this is probably what we'll be rocking with for a little while. So here's that rubber I was talking about. It's like 1/4 inch, maybe a little less, straight up rubber, 2 inches wide. And we're gonna run, this will be used to strap around the tank as well when we put tank straps on it. But we're gonna run this along the bottom of each of those beds across and just let it overhang, you know, ever so slightly on either side of the bottom of the tank. And I think I'm gonna put these every like 6 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead, pre-cut a bunch of them, and then lay them all out across the bed on either side. I'm just thinking about, I'll cut as I go down there, so I'm just going to cut them to length in regards to the width of the bed pieces down there, because I don't want a bunch of overhang, because there are gaps so you can get to your limber holes between stringers. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go down there, cut up a bunch of this rubber, lay it all out, and that way I can set the tank down on top of it. And I may even fit this tank in. We'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna lay all the rubber first. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. beds are made, or set, whatever you want to say. Whatever. I mean, or you don't have to call them beds, but that's what I'm calling them. But yeah, all right, here we go. Fuel tank beds. Getting down in here, I got my tank prepped, ready to go in. We got 1/4-inch rubber pads glued down about every 10 to 12 inches all the way back where the fuel tank will sit. We got our outer brace screwed in. We got center point joist screws or stringer screws screwed in. Everything has been caulked / sealed with marine adhesive, 4,000 equivalent, and then same on this side. I'll put some more of this around the fuel tanks, like I said, when we strap them in. For right now, they're just going to sit loose until we get fairly close to the end of this production. But let me turn this light here. There you go. We got our back brace, side brace screwed in, center joists all screwed in, and then our back piece screwed in as well, and then rubber every 10 to 12 inches spanning the bed. So I'm going to start with the port side here. We got our tank in. I'm going to slide this forward some more. I wish I had made my strap a little bit tighter so it would lift a little bit more. My gantry is only, what, 12 feet tall, something like that. And this boat is a lot taller. So anyway, that's as high as I could get it. And then my crane or hoist there hangs about another foot below that. So I really only have 11 feet of lift, and then I just lost another 3 with my strap here. So if I had that a lot tighter, it would sit up higher. We're gonna have to do that for the engines for sure to get them over the transom wall, transom gunnel. But anyway, this is set. I'm gonna slide the gantry forward, and I'm gonna get this thing angled up like this. I mean, it may even be on the dashboard there. I might put some padding, but get that angled to come in and at least set it down here, and then slide it over into the corner and see how it sits. Let's do that. By the way, if you guys haven't checked it out already, we do have merchandise for Boat Restoration by Ben. These are an example of what some of the hats look like. I've already beat my hat up quite a bit, but we got t-shirts, we got mugs, we've got stuff for your dogs, your wife, your kids, whatever it might be. So go check out the shop. The link is on YouTube under the shop, or you can go to boatrestorationbyben.com, check out the merchandise from there. But anyway, let's go ahead, get this first fuel tank into the boat and see how she sits. I do want to show you real quick though. I know, I keep talking. But down here, we've got that hole right there. So my fuel fill is actually that chrome guy right there. A hose goes into it, and then it loops sideways and goes through that opening in the side. And then it'll come down right into here, and right about here is where my tank fill will be. So that's that 90 big 1.5" elbow is. So anyway, just so you get an idea, those are all deck fills. Used about 3 boxes of rubber so far, so that's great. Got a couple more bracing pieces here that'll go on the outside of the tanks. And then there's that fuel fill that I was talking about, deck drain, fuel fill. So simple boat. I mean, this is really, it's a nice boat to work on for the most part. There's a decent bit of space, but it's also, it is thick. I mean, it is all solid glass everywhere, which, you know, there's no point in putting all this work into a boat unless it is actually a solid starting point. Okay, let's go get this fuel tank in. Aha! The first tank is in. And I mean, that was tight. I used every square inch of this opening right here. But you saw, I mean, it took a little shimmying. But it's in here. And that is how it sits. I had to remove the fuel fill, but it screwed right back on. There's enough overhead space there. But I was able to slide it right on top of my rubber isolators. I had to remove my back shim on that side. I think this, yeah, it scoots over till it hits that edge over there. Yeah, that feels about right. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this fairly loose for the time being because I know that we're gonna need to move it around, hook up fittings, and put tank straps on. So we still got to be able to get behind it, so we're gonna have to be able to slide it out and in, so we won't hook up hoses or fuel lines or anything like that until later. But that's a huge first step, the beds and the tanks. We go ahead and take a quick break, but then do the starboard side tank and get that one in. I'm gonna take out that rear brace back there before I do it, so I got enough sliding room. But I think everything held together pretty nicely. The one thing I do need to watch for this time is the old fuel vent hose there is dangling down with a broke off fitting. So I just need to make sure that pops up and is on top of the tank so I can reuse it. And then my steering, I think those are steering, yeah. My steering hoses for the hydraulic steering, that's back there, run along the side there. So I think I can leave those back behind the tank shim. Then I may just go ahead and screw those out of the way so it can't, I took my knee pads off, whoops. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and screw these out of the way. It just sits like that. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna screw that right in along there. So anyway, and that's that loose hose I was talking about. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get the starboard side tank in now after a quick break. Whew, it's coming along nicely. The tanks are in. And it's pouring down rain. This is why. Even harder. You guys can probably barely hear me, but this is why having this shop is just amazing for doing this kind of work. I mean, there's just no way. Like, this gantry, to have that outside, to do all this outside, to do this in a wet, gross environment, not worth it. But boom, there's a fuel tank. Look at that. Money. Got all of our wires, shifter cables and everything outside where we needed to. All of our isolators are in place. We got our backstop back on, front stop on. That one's good to go too. Love that. All right, well, outside of this mess of hoses, which I'm starting to get an idea of where everything goes. Oh my God. Oh. Look at that. Let's get down here. I love it. Everything's staying dry. All right, guys, that's all we got for today. Fuel tanks are in. I got a bunch of hoses and wiring to go through. This 1996 Wellcraft 33 Coastal is finally coming together. Sorry it took so long. Just had a lot of stuff going on. But up next, we're gonna cruise up to Pennsylvania, pick up those 3116 Caterpillars and transmissions from the diesel engine shop, and I'll prep these beds with the engine mounts, get those things ready to go, and go through a bunch of hoses, see what we need and what we don't. That'll be the next step, getting motors in. And I think there's a couple water tanks that'll go in the back. I probably will slide those in before we put the motors in. I need to see if those exist or not. But anyway, as always, thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you appreciate this content, and we're gonna call it a day on this one. We'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.